We have also seen all the registers associated with all the timers. Okay, the name are TCNT, TCNT. Then uh, the other is TCCR, and the name depends upon whether if it is associated with 0, then it will be TCCR 0. If it is associated with 1, then TCCR 1. And we are having compare register, that is OCR, whose value is continuously being compared with TCNT, and according to the match the flag would be raised on. And finally we have seen the block diagram of our timer 0, internal block diagram of a timer 0, where we are having pin T0 whose input would be connected to an edge detector. We are having prescalers, and depending upon in which configuration you want your timer to work, if you are selecting 6 and 7, it would become it would be working in compare mode, uh, counter mode. And if you'll be selecting the option from 0 to 5, it would be working in timer mode. But 0, yeah, you can say that you can stop your timer or counter by providing this value as 000. Okay, there is a control unit, and there are so many bits associated with it. Okay, and we have also discussed this bits, okay, which are available in your TCCR 0 register, where we are having so many another bits which will help us to configure our timer either in timer mode or a counter mode or normal mode or a CTC mode. Okay, and the flags associated with this timer counter, they are available in a TIFR register, and we can see all the flag registers over here. We continuously monitor these flags to see whether what condition has achieved. Suppose if you are in normal mode, you will be watching TOV0. If you are in CTC mode, capture mode, okay, then you will be monitoring COF flag. And all this register, let's say TCCR, TCNT, OCR, TIFR, all these registers are available in the IO section of your RAM, so that we can access the content of these registers with help of in and out instructions. So these were the things that we have discussed in the previous class. So are you having any kind of doubt in whatever the stuff I have discussed in the last class? If no, we can proceed further. Okay, no query has been raised, so I assume that the things that I have discussed is very clear in your mind. Okay, so now in today's class we are going to discuss about timer 0 programming in normal mode. Okay, so we have discussed that in two different modes the timer 0 can work. Okay, one is CTC mode, another is your normal mode. So we would be looking into both of this mode, normal mode and CTC mode, in the today's class with some example of it. Okay, programming example of it. So in this mode, the content of timer increment with each clock. So it is the same case with the functionality of our timer, that the content of the register or TCNT. Now we know that what is the timer counter register. It is TCNT. So the content of the TCNT register is incremented with the each clock period. Okay. So it counts up till it reach its maximum value, and we know that what the maximum value this TCNT would be having, as it is an 8-bit counter. Okay, so if it is an 8-bit counter, the maximum value is 255, or in another word, if I go for an hexadecimal value, it is 0 cross FF. So it will reach up to the maximum value 0 cross FF. It will roll over from 0 cross FF to 0 cross 00. Okay, so every time it used to get increment its value. So what happens if it reach to the maximum value 00? So if it reach to the maximum value 00, it will roll over, sorry, if it reach to maximum value ff, it will roll over to 00. So what will happen if it roll overs to 00? So when it roll overs to 00, it set the bit, flag bit, that is TOV, as 1. Okay, so it will set this TOV flag. Okay, and this timer flag we need to monitor it. Okay, so this flag will give you an intimation that yes, your timer has overflow. Okay, how we can do that in program, we will be looking very shortly. So this is the timing diagram of your timer counter register, that it will increment with every clock, and finally it will reach to 00, and suddenly it will roll out to, sorry, it will reach to FF, and suddenly it will roll out to 00. And when this thing happens, okay, at this peak, your TOV flag is supposed to be raised. So every time it will do this thing, means it will go from 00 to FF, then it will roll back to 00, again it will go from 00 to FF, it will roll back to 00. So this will be exactly the time duration, or the maximum time duration it will take from getting its value to 0 to FF. Okay, and what would be the time duration? That depends upon what the prescaler you are selecting. Already we have talked about the prescaler. So it depends upon what the prescaler you have selected. If there is no prescaler, then this is 255 into your time period of a clock. Okay, if it is divided by 8, then it is 255 into 8 times, and so on. Okay, so what are the steps we need to do, we need to carry out if I want to program my timer 0 in the normal mode? So let us discuss each steps one by one. So the first step is we need to load the value of TCNT register with the initial count value. Okay. Now every time it won't be the case that you want your time delays or the duration of the time that is supposed to be calculated by your timer is in the multiple of 255. Okay, it may be the different values also. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to load the initial value of the TCNT register. Okay, so from that value it will count up to FF. Okay, so that is the first step, that you need to load the value of TCNT register. Okay, then load the content into TCCR register. Okay, according to in which mode you want to operate. Okay, indicating, so this TCCR0 will indicate that in which mode you want your timer to be used and what is the prescaler option. Okay, so that would be selected by loading your TCCR0 register. Okay, when we select the clock source, so as soon as we select the clock source, the timer will start to count. Okay, as soon as you load the value in your TCCR by providing the prescaler option, your timer will start, and at each tick, okay, it will cause the content of your timer to increment by 1. Okay, the third step is we need to continuously monitor the TOV0 flag to see if it is raised or not. Okay, and we need to get out of the loop of continuously monitoring of TOV0 flag when it reaches to 1, or when it is raised, or when it is set to 1. Okay, the fourth step is stop the timer by disconnecting the clock source, means provide 000 in your TCCR register will stop your timer. Okay, as the clock source is being disconnected. Okay, so this is the instruction that we can use. We need to provide 00 to your TCCR register. So this is some simple instruction that we can use LDI R20 0 cross 00. It is not the case that you can use R20, you can use any register. So LDI R20 0 cross 00 and out TCCR 0 R20. This will stop your timer in any mode, in any mode. Okay, it is being written that it is in normal mode, but in any mode, if you want to stop your timer, you just need to provide 00 value in your TCCR register. Okay, then what we need to do is, this is an important step, fifth number step. Step number 5 is very important, that we need to clear the TOV flag for the next round. Okay, what it means that it will not be clearing your TOV flag by hardware. Means, yeah, we know that, okay, once your timer has rolled over from FF to 00, your TOV flag is supposed to be raised, but it will not be cleared automatically. So you need to clear the TOV flag. Now, this is my general question, that what value we must be loading into this TOV flag to clear it. Hello, if I want to clear the flag, what actually the value I need to load in it? There are two options, 0 and 1. So 43 number, can you tell me which value, either 0 or 1, is supposed to be loaded in your flag to clear it?
So 0.
Anyone else? 34, want to say something? If I want to clear the flag, which value is supposed to be loaded, 0 or 1? 34 number. Hello, 34. Oh. 19 number, where is my 19 number friend?
Yes, sir.
Okay, which value I need to load if I want to clear the flag?
Sir, 0 in hexadecimal.
Yeah, so it is obvious and it is self-understood that 0 must be loaded in any kind of a flag or in any kind of register to clear it out. But I want to make this thing noted by you that in AVR, if you want to clear the flag, value 1 must be loaded in the flag. Okay, so it is just the something which is different. Okay, so generally it is our prediction or it is just our thinking that we need to load 0 value if I want to clear it out. But in AVR, please make a note of it that if you want to clear any flag, then you need to load 1 in it. Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so every time I will not be repeating this thing. Okay, you need to note that, okay, whenever you want to clear any flag, if you want to make any flag 0, then value 1 must be loaded in it, not 0. Okay, so this is the thing. So these are the 5 steps that you need to carry out for working your timer into your normal mode. So let us try to see this thing with help of an example. And finally, 6th step is to go back to your TCNT once again. So step number 1, so it would be in the looping kind of a thing. So let us try to see this thing with an example. Okay, so in this example, we are supposed to create a square waveform of 50% duty cycle on port B. I have taken 50% because it would be convenient for me, because I need not have to load the TCNT with the different values. If the duty cycle is different, then you need to do it differently. Okay, so 50% duty cycle on port B, pin number 5. Okay, and I'll be using my timer 0 to generate the time delay, and I will force my timer 0 to work in the normal mode. Okay, so it is an option, means it is upon you to use. Means if it is want to use in timer normal mode, you can use it in normal mode. If you want to use it in CTC, you can use it in CTC. I'll be showing you both the option. Whatever the option you like, you can use that. Okay, so first of all, we'll start with the normal mode. So the first line of any code, yeah, everyone knows that it is include m32def.inc, because I'm talking this code in reference to at mega 32. If it is other microcontroller of an AVR, your header file will differ. Okay, this is also you need to make a note of it. Then I'm going to write a subroutine for the delay. Okay, I will be writing a subroutine for the delay. So if I'm going to use a subroutine, means you need to make this thing very clear in your mind that whenever you're using subroutine, means wherever you are having a call instruction kind of a thing, then the stack must be initialized first. This already I have discussed in 8085 concept also of a subroutine. So whenever you're using the subroutine, it is very compulsory for you to initialize your RAM section. Okay, so how we can initialize our RAM section? So the initialization of RAM section can be done with this 4 lines of a code. Means the first line, that is LDI-20 high of RAM end. Okay, so this is this high RAM end is your assembler directive. Okay, already we know that what an assembler directives are. So can anyone tell me what do you mean by an assembler directive? Hello, can anyone tell me what is assembler directive? Hello, anyone? Anyone in the class? 36 number? Hello, 36 number?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you highlight something about assembler directive? What do you mean by an assembler directive? Okay, in cut short, if I want to tell you, then this out SPIH Okay, it is an instruction for a microcontroller, but this include, okay, it is not an instruction for a microcontroller, it is an instruction for an assembler. So assembler directives are nothing but they are the instructions to an assembler. So this is needed to be taken care by your assemblers. Okay, now in every time means if I am using different kind of a microcontroller, means if I am using different family member of an AVR microcontrollers, then I'll not be knowing that what is the highest value of a RAM end. So I can use this assembler directive. So assembler directive will take care that what is the highest memory location of your ATmega32. So it will be copying the content of or the address, higher address byte of your RAM end into R20, and we will use this to load it in your SPH. SPH and SPL, these are the stack pointer register. Combining this, it will form a stack pointer. So high byte of your address of your stack pointer and lower byte of your address of a stack pointer. So this can be done, means this 4 lines will help you to initialize your stack. So stack pointer will be loaded with the highest memory location of a RAM end. Okay, now can anyone tell me that why we used to have the highest memory location, why not the other, why we are insisting or why we are interested in loading the highest memory location of your RAM into your stack pointer? Why can't be the other value? Hello, hello, 22 number, hello, 22 number, are you there? Hello, 22 number. Yes, just text me that why we use the highest memory location to be loaded in the stack pointer, why not the other? If your mic is not working, you can text me out. 42 number. Hello, 42 number.
Yes, sir.
Yes, why we go for the highest memory location? 22, I am waiting for your text message. Till 42 will be telling me.
Sir, I don't know, sir.
47. Okay, 42. Can you tell me what is the value that is stored in stack pointer when I reset my microcontroller?
Sir, 1.
1. Okay, very nice of it. Now I have already talked about this thing in 8085 as well as in AVR also, that there are two special registers which are pointing out the memory locations. One is your program counter and another is your stack pointer. Program counter will be pointing out the memory location in your flash, and stack pointer will be pointing out the memory location in your RAM. The only point of difference between these two is every time the program counter would be incremented once the instruction is executed or instruction is fetched into your microcontroller CPU. But in case of your stack pointer, the stack pointer value will decrement every time when you use your stack. Okay, so that is the reason. So to just avoid the overlapping kind of a thing, we used to initialize the stack pointer at the highest memory location of your RAM. Okay, then I need to configure my port B pin number 5 as an output port. So that can be done with LDI R16. One is shifted 5 times because I'm going to use for port number port B pin number 5. So this is also left shift, right shift. It is also an assembler directive that can be used. Means bit number 1 or 1 is shifted in R16 5 locations. Okay. After doing this, you can see that the value of your R16 will be 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. So that value is supposed to be loaded in your DDR-B register. Already we talked about this when we were talking an IO port of our AVR. That DDR is a register that is called as a data direction register that will help you to configure your pins of your microcontroller as either an input pin or an output pin. So in this case, we want to generate a square wave. Okay, so what we will be doing is we will be configuring our pin number 5 of port B as an output. So these two lines will help us to do that thing. Okay, SBI is an instruction. Okay, it is a bit accessible instruction. We already talked about that. Set the DDRB pin number 5. Okay, then I'll be using LDI R17 0 cross 0 0 just to do the XORing operation. Then I will send my R17 to port number B, so it will make it 0. Then I will call the delay. So this delay, 50% delay that I want, okay, I'll be using the delay subroutine. So as I have called the delay, okay, I need to initialize the stack. Okay, so already we have discussed that there are three different type of calls. There is a call instruction, relative call instruction, and immediate call instruction. That already we have discussed in the previous classes. Okay, then we will do the XORing operation of R16 and R17. We have loaded 1 in the 5th bit of that, so it will do the XORing operation. So XORing operation will just toggle the value of pin number 5 of port B, and then we will send it to port B, and we will jump back to the begin. Okay, so this is a simple piece of code, okay, which will toggle the value of port BP number 5. Okay, and already we have discussed this stuff in the previous class when we were, so instead of R call, we use NOP kind of an instructions. Okay, now the next thing is we need to write down the delay subroutine. So this is the delay subroutine that we are supposed to write. Okay, so now in this, the first thing that I'm doing is loading the value of R20 as 0 cross F2. Okay, then I will send this value to my TCNT. So we need to load our TCNT value with the appropriate value. So over here, for just conveniency, I have used my F2. Otherwise, you need to make the calculation that what exactly the values must be loaded in my TCNT. We will just be looking into that matter after completion of this code, that what is the value supposed to be loaded in my TCNT. That depends upon what is the time delay that you want. So over here I have just loaded my F2. Okay, and I have loaded that F2 value in my TCNT. So this two line of code will help you to load the TCNT value. Then I'm loading my R20 with 01 and I'm sending it to TCCR. So once your TCNT is being loaded, you need to start your timer by loading the value of TCCR0. So in TCCR0, what the value I'm loading? I'm loading the value as 00000001. Okay, so that means, so for that I need to show you the register. Okay, so this is the register I'm loading the value with. So 00000001 I'm loading in this. Okay, so that means all the other values are 0, but CS02, CS01 and CS00 is being loaded with value 1. That means I am selecting no prescaler. I am directly using the clock of the system to take the counter. Okay, so as soon as I provide the source of a clock to my counter register, okay, the counter will start. So you can see that 001, so 001, so this will make 1 and this will become 0. Okay, so by doing this, you will start your counter in the normal mode. Okay, you can start your counter in a normal mode. Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you are starting your counter in the normal mode in this case. Okay, so your counter would be started by doing this. So 0001 is loaded in your TCCR, so your counter will start. Now the next thing is we need to continuously monitor our TOV flag. So TOV flag is in our TIFR register. So I will copy the content of my TIFR register in my R20. I will use SBRS, means skip the next instruction. So this is an instruction we already discussed, that skip the next instruction if TOV flag is 1. Okay, and what is the next instruction? That is R jump. Okay, so what will what this 3 line of code will be doing for us. So this 3 line of code would be continuously monitoring our TOV flag, and as soon as our TOV flag is raised, the next instruction just below this would be skip. Okay, so just think about that. At first peak of clock, this content will become F3, then F4, then F5, then F6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, and F exactly after 10 clock. So up to 10 clocks, this your CPU would be in this loop. Means it will every time input the value of TIFR, it will check TOV, and as the TOV is 0, it will jump back again over here. Okay, and after 10 clock cycles, okay, so TOV flag would be raised in the after 11th clock. Okay, so 10th clock will give you FF, 11th clock the TOV flag would be raised. So after raising the TOV flag, the RJump instruction would be omitted, and you will be coming over here LDI R20 cross 00. You will stop your timer by loading 00 value in your TCCR register. Then you will clear your TOV flag in your TIFR register, means loading 0. You will clear the flag, and then you need to return back to your main program. Okay, so this is how you can uh, what it is you can use your timer in the normal mode. Okay, now let us see that what is the formula that we already have talked that the value is supposed to be calculated, that is needed to be provided in my TCNT. So for that we need to develop a formula. So we can develop a formula for delay calculation using in the normal mode as below. Suppose if I'll say that the timer, the crystal frequency is 8 megahertz. Okay, so if the crystal mega frequency is 8 megahertz, then the time duration, means the time period of the clock would be 0.125 microseconds. So if you are doing that thing in hexadecimals, then this is the formula that you need to use. Okay, so FF minus XX plus 1 into 0.125 is the desired value of the delay, means whatever the desired value you are having. So from that you can calculate the XX value, and that XX value is needed to be loaded in your TCNT. Okay, same thing can be done in your decimal also. Convert the excess value into decimal, and this is the formula 255.6 minus NN into 0.125. So from this you can get the value of XX, and this XX value is supposed to be loaded in your TCNT by at this point. Okay, so in this case the assembler directive can also help you. So how you are finding the value and how you can load it in it. So, okay, so first of all we need to calculate the time period of the timer clock using the following instructions, that is following formula. That time period of clock is 1 divided by frequency of the clock. Okay, and whatever the prescaler you are using. So if there is no prescaler, then frequency of clock timer is equals to frequency of your oscillator. Okay, and if it is not the case, then you need to do this, means if it is divided by 64, then timer frequency is uh, 1 by 64 times of your oscillator. Okay, second, divide the desired time period by t, that you have found it out from over here, and then use the formula that 255 minus n, where n is the desired decimal value in step 2. Convert that in hexadecimal and load it in your TCNT. So these are the steps that you need to follow to load the value of your TCNT. Okay, there is an assembler which can help us to do that thing. So instead of doing minus of it and all that thing, directly you can write it as LDI R20 minus of 100. So actually it will be doing whatever the thing that we are doing manually on the paper can also be done with the assembler directive also. So if you want to load minus 100 cycles, okay, so you can write down minus 100, so it will be automatically calculating 9C. So 9C value must be loaded in your uh, loaded in your TCNT, and this will make your task a little bit easier. The second mode of operation is your compare match mode. We call it as a CTC mode. So in this CTC mode, the OCR0 register will come into the picture. We already seen this OCR register in the basic block diagram of our timer 0. So the working of the timer will remain same. That means as with the normal mode in CTC mode also, the timer is incremented with the every clock. But what is the difference? So in this, it will count up until the content of TCNT0 register becomes equal to the content of OCR register, and then it will clear the TCNT register. This is only the point of difference between the CTC mode and a normal mode, that it will count up every time with the clock, it will compare the value with your OCR register, and once it is equals to the OCR register, the TCNT register will become 0, and this condition is intimated to a programmer by raising a OCF 0 flag. Okay, the OCF flag is again located in our TIFR register. Already we have seen that thing. Okay, there must not be any query related to it because OCF 0 flag is located in TIFR register. So let us try to see the same example that we have seen for timer 0 normal mode. Okay, how we can do it with the help of CTC mode. Okay, so create a square wave 50% duty cycle on same pod BP number 5 with timer 0 used in CTC mode for generation of the delay. So again this thing will remain same, include M32DF INC, sorry, stack, initialization of stack, shifting the value of R16 by 5, setting the DDR-B register, settings R17 as 0, sending it to output, delay calling, XORing RGB. Okay, the only thing that will change would be in the subroutine. So the first thing that we will be doing is we will be loading the TCNT register. So in this case, the value of TCNT register must be loaded as 0, but the calculated value, whatever the value you want of delay, must be loaded in your OCR register. So over here the value of OCR register is 09. Then we need to load our TCCR register. So TCCR register is loaded with any value you can load it in it according to what the configurations. Over here I have loaded it with 9. Okay, which means it will be working in my CTC mode, okay, with no prescaler. Then continuously we will be monitoring our TIFR register to see whether our OCF flag is raised or not. So SBRS instruction, again it will be helping us. Then we would be loading, stopping our timer, we would be clearing our OCF register. So you can see that OCF register 1 value shifted to OCF register in R20 and send R20 to your TIFR register. Means clear your OCR register by loading value 1 in your TIFR register for the location of OCF 0. Okay, so this is how you can use your timer 0 in CTC mode and normal mode. Am I clear? Hello? Hello, are you all with me?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Okay, so I hope I have made it clear that how you can use your timer in your CTC mode and normal mode. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if there is any kind of query, we can discuss it out. Otherwise, that is all from my side for today. In the next class, we will be looking into timer 1 in normal and CTC mode. The difference between timer 0 and timer 1 is timer 0 is an 8-bit timer, but timer 1 is a 16-bit timer. Because if you want to deal up with the larger value of a delay, then you can use timer 1 instead of timer 0. Okay. So thank you. See you in the next class. If you are having any query, you can ask me. No query? Hello?
No,
Yes,
sir.
19. Okay, fine. See you in the next class. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.